So, you're ready to fill out your first market application? Well, today I want to talk to you about some common application fields and give you my number one tip on getting through all of your applications with ease. So, if you're interested in that, stick around and watch this video. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Pakita, and on this channel, I talk all things vendor markets, getting started, growing your business with vendor markets, setting up your vendor market booth, all of the fun stuff. And I share some lifestyle content too. So if you're interested in that, stick around. We're going to talk today about what the application process is like and some of the very common fields that are on all the applications. And I want to share my number one tip: cannot do without getting through those applications because you're filling out so many. A lot of this information is repetitive. I'm going to tell you what it is up front: copy and paste. Okay. All right. So I will make sure that I call out what sections of the application it is most beneficial to copy and paste, because the questions are the same, even though some of the wording may vary a little bit. For the most part, all the questions are essentially the same. And so the information that you're going to provide should be in the information that you're going to copy paste. All right, so let's jump in and not delay. Okay, so I'm going to break down the application by, let's say, 3 categories. We'll call it business information, additional information, and your photo or product requirements. Okay, so under business information, applications are typically going to ask information related to your business. So your business name or the name that you refer to your business, maybe like a DBA, doing business as, that name. It'll ask your legal business name if you have your business filed with your state. It'll also ask for a contact name. That's the name of the person that's probably filling out the application, whether that's you or someone from your team that you want to be able to engage with the event host. It's also going to ask things like your address, your email, your phone number, your website, and your logo if you have that kind of information. I will say, if you are new, you probably have not... you probably don't have a legal filing for a business name, especially if you're just trying to test your way through the market and you're not really sure, if your side hustle is going to elevate to company status, right? And so perhaps your business name is just you, and that's perfectly fine. You want to enter in that information, or, not applicable at the time if that's an option. Usually, things like your business name, your phone number, things like that, these are write-in fields, so they're text fields. So you will be able to type that information in. I've done a number of applications, and I've yet to run into one where different fields are formatted for any specific type of text. So there aren't any like drop-down fields or fields that only accept certain types of characters. Typically, applications are free text, and you can type in kind of whatever details you want. Most applications will have a character limit on some of the fields, so you'll just need to be mindful of that when you see it. But for the most part, they're free text fields, and you can just respond to the questions to the best of your ability. For things like telephone numbers and dates, those might be formatted to receive a telephone number. So you will have kind of the left and right parent or parentheses. You may have a dash in there, and then the date field may be a calendar toggle. So you'll click on that and just, click on the calendar or click on the dates. But for those questions that are text fields, I don't believe. In my experience, these are just text fields. So they are probably a short parenthesis or kind of a long form parenthesis. A short paragraph or a long form paragraph text field. So you can answer the questions with whatever information you have available. So if you don't have a business name, put your name there. And if there is a follow-up question about like legal business name, you can, again, use your name or NA for not applicable or not available. Contact name, again, obviously that will be you or somebody on your team. And then your address, if you have a business listing, use that. And if not, then you'll use kind of the address where you're operating your business. And, that might be your home address. Again, your email, the email that you use to communicate about the business, that's the email that you're going to want information sent to you from the market, the phone number, and then your website and logo. The logo question I don't see often. But your website, yes, if you have a website or a place that you are selling on the internet, you want to put that information down. So if you are just using, Meta, Facebook, Instagram to sell your products, if it's Shopify, if you're, just sending out payment links, you want to be able to list that. How can we go online and see kind of more of your products? Let's jump to kind of some of the additional information. So under additional information, you'll get questions like, tell us about your business. And then you'll get a question that says, tell us about your products. And then there will be a follow-up question. What products will you bring to this market? Here is where the copy and paste works so beautifully, because certain applications will split those three questions the way that I've listed them. And then some applications will ask you, tell us about your business and the products you sell. And then the second part of that same question is, and the products that you will be bringing with you to this market. The reason that I like the copy and paste idea is you can craft your response to this question as, a single response. But then you can save it in kind of the three segmentations. So the first part is, tell me about your business. Who are you? When was your business formed? What is the overall theme and mission and goal of your business? If your business is really aesthetic driven, include all of those details in that question. Tell us about your business. I'm going to share mine with you. So to make this make a little bit more sense for you, I'm going to share with you what my vendor bio is and how I have it broken down so that when I need to answer those questions, it's really easy and honestly, it's in my clipboard now. I just populate it. So tell us about your business. My response is, Hayward & Love is a stationery brand focused on performance and task management techniques. We create and sell beautifully designed stationery workbooks, notebooks, desk pads, notepads, and accessories. All of our stationery workbooks and accessories are constructed and designed by us from print to bind. That is our bio. What do we sell? When I'm telling you about our products, we sell planning resources that include planners, journals, notebooks, and pads. We also offer consulting solutions that include our curated planning workshops, process optimization, and business analysis consulting for small teams. That is how I answer those questions, copy, paste. And if it's just one question, or if I am doing a workshop somewhere and they need a bio, you get this full blurb. But I have it broken up into those two designations so that I can easily populate it in an application. Because when you're filling out multiple applications, it's just going to be easier to have all of that information kind of already tucked and tied away. Let's see. Then you may also get questions about, what's the average pricing for your products? And so you can populate, whatever that number is on average, or you can kind of give them a spread. We average products on the low end is this, to the high end is this. Again, these are free form text fields, so you can just type in and populate whatever you need. Or you can kind of have that information somewhere in a note on your device or on your desktop, and you can just copy and paste. So if the application has a section to select the event that you're interested in participating in, those are where like your check boxes will come in, because they'll list all of their events, and then there will be like a check box. You can check, what event that you're planning to attend or you're applying for. Most applications will just open up their application and then list all their events for the year. And you can select as many of those events as you want to. Now, I will say, I have done that. I've done that on more than one occasion, especially early on. I have done that. Applied to like, oh, I really want to be here, so let me apply to like 5-6 events. Well, the problem with that is, once you're accepted, your payment for those events, the fee is due like within 48 hours. And so if you've selected, several applications at $200 per event, you got to pay all that money up front. And if you're not prepared to do that, they're probably, depending on the host, right? Some hosts are more understanding, especially if you're new to completing applications. Some hosts will put that at the very beginning of the application. Please be advised, or you agree that will probably also be a checkbox. Some type of, consent statement, like you agree that if accepted for this event, that you will pay the fee in 48 hours from, the date of acceptance or something like that. So just be mindful of the number of applications that you're submitting, or the number of events that you are, applying to, that if you're accepted to all of them, then you need to pay the fee for all of them immediately. So some other things that applications will ask: emergency contact, like who should we reach out to should something happen to you while you're at the market. Your vendor terms and conditions will also be included. Again, those are like the checkbox items. Those will probably come like towards the end of the application. It'll ask for your social media links. And the reason that it will ask for your social media links is because it will want to know if you are sharing your products, things about your business, the markets that you've attended. We want to see photos. So you guys know, in another video, I talked about, taking pictures. I'm not suggesting that you vlog or anything, but you certainly need to capture those moments of you at your market, your setup, interacting with customers, making sales, because sometimes in the application, there is also another question that will ask, have you ever participated in a market with us? Tell me, or can you list for us the other markets that you've done in the area? So you want to be able to show, I have some experience with markets. I understand kind of, how to create a booth that, encourages people to come in and shop. It's engaging, things like that. So they want to see that information. So if you have that on your social media, you certainly need to share. If you don't, you need to start. But if you have never attended a market and this is going to be your very first market, make sure that you add that to this question. Again, if it's a free form text and you are just typing in what markets you've already participated in, and you haven't participated in any market, then say that in there, that this is going to be my first market, blah, 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 and you should be good. A caveat to this, to everything that I'm saying, is I am looping common fields into this conversation that I'm having right now. Not every application will do all of these things. I do feel like some of the best applications will do all of these things. But not every application will list every market that they have coming up. The reason is I feel like some of the bigger, larger event planners will book their calendar out. They've already booked their locations. They may have contracts and things like that. So they know what dates they're going to host a market. But some of the smaller hosts, maybe some of your one-off shops, they're hosting events, things like that. They may not know what their future dates are. They may only have an application for a very specific event. And the questions will still be the same. You just won't have the option to apply to multiple events on that one application. If they're a larger, if it's a larger event planner, they have multiple events throughout the year. They probably already know what those dates are. So in their application, they're going to list all of them. But if it's a smaller host, they may only be planning for one particular event, and you know, they only have one date. So their application is very specific for that one event that they're hosting. So let's talk about your photos, your product photos, and other photo requirements. So this question typically comes up, like I said before, because hosts will want to know, they want to know a couple of things. And this question, having you upload pictures will really answer that. If there is a specific aesthetic that they are trying to keep for their particular market, if there is a particular demographic that they want to attract to their market, they want to see your products and they want to see your booth setup to make sure that you fit within that overall theme, the visuals, just kind of the look and feel of what you're bringing to the market. It has to match with kind of everything else. So this question will also help them understand that if they're planning to have multiple candle vendors, they want to make sure that all the candles don't look exactly alike. Like they're not all candles in black jars with white labels, right? There should be some sort of diversity to give people some different options. So looking at everyone's product photos will help determine the answer to that question without hosts blatantly asking like, well, does your product look like this and such and such? The same with like clothing vendors or just very common vendors, right? Like they want to make sure that even if they are in the same category, that they don't all look exactly alike. The other thing that you providing photos will help them understand, again, is just the overall look and feel. So this includes not just your products, but the overall look and feel of your booth. How creative are you in setting up your booth? How neat is your booth? Is it super cluttered? Do you have a lot of things? But again, it is to be able to assess kind of the look and feel of your products and kind of your overall setup, and to make sure that, there's not too many of the same category of product, or even if we have multiple items in the same category, that they don't all look alike. When you're uploading your pictures, make sure you're uploading pictures in the right format. Typically, they will ask for .png files or SVG files sometimes. I think they can only be, I want to say maybe 10 megs per photo. So if they're professional photos, all of them may not work. So you may have to like edit them, in a photo editing tool or something, just to kind of save them down to a lower resolution. But photos really need to be well lit. And they just need to look good. They just need to look good. They need to translate well on screen. Hosts may use some of your photos in marketing, so you'll see them kind of in like social media posts and things like that. You may see some of your product photos on like flyers. You may see your product show up in reels or videos or shorts or things like that. So you just want to make sure that you are, again, putting your very best foot forward. And while your photos are not a copy paste, but you certainly can have certain photos that you are using just for market applications. If you attend a market and they take photos and then they share those photos with you, they may have some stipulations on how you can use them. Like you can use those photos to promote yourself, your product, your brand, but you can't use those photos in other applications. So make sure that you have some really good photos that you are using, that you've taken or you've had professionally done of your products and of your setup, so that you can include those in an application. And again, if you've never done a market, just make sure that you're taking really good photos, good lighting, things like that. Again, it's just you want to be able to show off the very best of your products, and just increase your chances for being accepted into a market. So, how do I use the copy and paste? I use it for a lot of the business information, right? Business name, my name, phone number, address, state, all of that stuff. Easy copy paste. Website, easy copy paste. And then the vendor bio, easy copy paste. I will say that I went through a few passes of crafting my own bio where it didn't feel so wordy, or it just didn't feel confusing, like I was trying to say too much. Keep in mind, you may have 255 characters to explain who you are and what you do, and then what you sell and what you plan to bring. If it's just one question, you are kind of almost going to bare bones it. If it's three questions, you've got a little more flexibility. But you want to be able to just keep it very crisp and clean so that we don't have to figure out, what it is that you're trying to say. Once you've crafted the perfect bio, it is simply saving it somewhere in a note on your phone or on your desktop and copy paste. And so you can use your vendor bio as a copy paste, to save time. You can also copy paste what you're going to sell and your product descriptions. You can also, if there is a question about average pricing, it's a copy paste. Pictures are not copy paste. However, again, I think you should just have some pictures handy that you use just for applications, so that you're not looking for things as you're making new products or sourcing new products. As long as you have a really good, clean shot of your product so that it's showing texture and the colors and things like that, any of those photos will work perfectly fine. All right, y'all. So we've talked about the application from soup to nuts. And again, I just wanted to be able to cover some of the common application fields and common application sections. On your application, it may not necessarily be listed in this order, but these are the application fields that I have commonly seen across a number of different vendor hosts. Things that I did not cover today is kind of the application introduction. That's usually talking about the event. It'll be a little background about the host. It will provide the address or the location of the application. There are also some other questions on maybe additional information, like questions that, like, will you need power? Will you need, do you need power or electricity on that day? Will you need to have access to, certain, facilities or technology or something like that? Do you need to rent a tent or something? Some of those miscellaneous items could also be on an application, but those aren't necessarily standard, because not every event will offer those additional things. So just kind of be on the lookout for those, and be mindful that if you do require some additional resourcing, there may be an additional fee that they impose, like $10 if you need power or, whatever. And I did mention like terms of service, but you may have like a list of terms and things that you need to agree to, terms and conditions that you'll need to agree to. Those are typically at the bottom of the application. And again, there will also be a condition that you'll need to agree that you do understand that once you submit this application, if you are accepted, then, payment is due, 48 hours or whatever their timing is, the payment is due. And then I think the last thing that is probably there is, you understand that submitting this application does not automatically grant you an acceptance or an approval or something like that. So yeah, I think those are kind of very typical for the terms and conditions section. Usually those are at the footer section of the application. So you will typically see those as you are right before you submit those, the last things. We want you to know the rules, honey, before you submit this application. So you can't say that you didn't see them. But that's it. Again, my number one tip to making sure that you navigate all of the applications that you plan to fill out for the 2026 year and beyond is a good copy paste. Make sure that you can craft your vendor bio ahead of time so you can think it through, so that when you get ready to populate it in the applications, that you completely understand what you're saying. And when people are asking you in person, you know how to talk about your business. I think it is a very good habit for you to understand what it is that you do and how you want to convey that to people. So practice saying it out loud. Practice talking about your brand and your business. When I'm talking about your brand, like, what is the overall experience that you want to convey with the products or services that you've created? So make sure that you can articulate that yourself. Once you have it down packed, then lock that thing in so that when you start populating your applications, copy paste. Okay, so I know I shared a lot of information with you again in this video. So if there is anything that you have questions about, drop them below in the comments for me. And if you stayed and watched this entire video, shout out to you. Thank you so much, as always, for watching and engaging with all of our videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you've got any other tips to filling out vendor applications that are really helpful to getting kind of the process moving along and doing it quickly, share that in the comments. And if any of this information has helped you, I definitely want to hear from you. Share the video, like the video, and again, if you're here again watching another video and you have not subscribed, what are you doing? You know you like me and we should be friends. So go ahead and click the subscribe button and welcome to the family. And with that said, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.